Okay, what do you think about the main idea of this lecture?
I think the main idea was that there is a mismatch between science and business.
And I also catch that he was talking about incentives or motivations mainly. And he was talking about different kind of motivation, and the main ones that he compared was the financial and intrinsic ones. And throughout his speech, he kept on mentioning that financial incentive, which is seemingly more effective one, is not that effective, or it's even worse than an intrinsic motivation that doesn't reward anything. Also, what do you think about the details of, or some points about this lecture before we talk about anecdotes?
I think the speaker gave a lot of researches about to support his case. He said that he's a very logical and unbiased person. So to prove his point, he used a lot of cases, and like things like FedEx days or 20% time with Google or Row to say that the intrinsic rewards are actually the ones that motivate people to work harder rather than financial rewards.
Yeah, as you said, he actually mentioned specific examples like Google and what is it, Atlassian at Australia. Well, mentioning that made me persuaded by his words and his way of speaking. Like his humor was really funny, and I really got into his speech.
We can talk about his speaking skill later on the question. Yeah, I was very impressed by his logic, because he gives a lot of research. First, he gave the Sam Glassberg's the candle problem.
Candle problem.
And do you want to talk more about the candle problem? Yeah, candle problem. So he showed that the financial incentive does not work, or make some words that come. And then he gave another candle problem with the dummies, candle problem for dummies, and he showed that the financial motivation makes people only make approach to their own goal, and just when they are only in just one way.
Yeah.
However, he pointed out that the real world and the real business world has a lot of extraordinary ways, and there is unclear rule and not a single solution. In the case, we need a lot of creativity. However, the financial incentive degrade the creativity of the people. So he pointed out that there are more important motivation is the intrinsic. So he pointed out three things: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And he talked about, I'm so sorry about that. He talked only about autonomy in this lecture.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to hear about what is the mastery and purpose can work to the people's motivation. So these are the overall structure of his lecture, so we should delve into the specifics more. Yeah. So what are some anecdotes mentioned in the listening?
At the when he started his speech, he started with an anecdote of his own life. Like he said that he's going to confess something what happened 20 years ago. He said that in the late 1980s he went to the law school but didn't do very well. So he just said that he studied law, so that he's a lawyer now, and he's a very logical person. So that's why he's going to continue this speech with logic.
I don't think there are any other personal anecdotes, but it's Tason mentioned there's a lot of researches, so we can consider anecdotes similar. We can consider these researches to serve the similar purpose as anecdotes, because it's supporting or making the argument more persuasive. Then how about talk about some research he mentioned in this lecture?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So he mentioned, as Tason said, candle problems. Well, actually, he mentioned that candle problems are really needs more concentration and thinking. So the past way of doing management is really giving what is it? Carrots and sticks. It's the way of doing things like that isn't really working, and that it's it may result in worse outcomes. So he was really pointing out details with those researches.
But then I think the main thing that the candle experiment was trying to tell us is that we should think outside of our boxes, because we never, I mean, people saw the box that was stuck to the wall, but then they didn't attempt to use it until later, until they did all the futile attempts. So I think he's focusing more on creativity and how we should, like I mentioned, think outside of our boxes.
So he cured through the MIT experiment later. So he told that mechanical skills, in mechanical skills, that the viewer can improve or enhance some performances. However, this kind of needs some creativity or some rudimentary cognitive skills. Some work needs that kind of skills that more weird make less performance. Also, not only this, but also the London School of Economics, he used that kind of experiment too. Not the experiment, but the quotation.
Yeah.
It was also similar with the experiment of MIT.
Well, about the examples he gave several examples of the companies that actually use this, what do you call it?
Policy.
This policy that he's trying to say. Like, for example, the Google gives 20% time of the workers to do anything they want, and he says that actually the half of the new products actually come from this 20% of time, like such as Gmail and other stuff. And there's also something called ROAD. I forgot what it actually stands for, but it says the ROAD, people don't have any schedule. They just show up when they want and where they want, and the only thing they need to do is just get the work done in that time. So I was quite impressed about how this actually works in real life.
And then he was like, oh, this seems too utopian, but he was like, no, it's not, because it actually worked in real life. But then the three components he mentioned in achieving this intrinsic motivation is autonomy, mastery, and purpose. But then if one of them is lacking, I don't think it can be established.
Yeah.
Also, he gave another example about Microsoft.
Yeah.
And is there anyone who listened carefully about this example?
The encyclopedia. Do you remember?
Encyclopedia?
Yeah.
About Wikipedia and encyclopedia and changing it.
Yeah. But I actually got lost the part. So.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Actually, me too. I remember that the Microsoft tried to give some incentives to their employees. However, the encyclopedia which was made by Microsoft is less important or less publishing than the Wikipedia, which made by whole peoples. I think this can be another example of that utopian society can be realized by not the incentive, but also so intrinsic motivators.
So let's talk about the speaker's style.
Yeah.
And first of all, what the speaker's style was that he kept on mentioning about the fact that he was logical by using his occupation as a lawyer. He kept on saying, oh, I don't believe in emotion, I don't believe in bias, but I believe in logic, and this is a true fact. It's true fact. And that made the argument more reliable because we are not brainwashed, but we conceive that he's a logical person. So I thought that was a good way of using his authority is a good way of persuasion.
Also, I liked how he used his humor to present what he wanted to talk about, because his humor, time to time, made it interesting and made me laugh.
You did?
I actually laughed at it. It was really funny, and it made the talk more not so serious, but more interesting talk.
Lighthearted.
Yeah.
Also, I love that he used the case in
The word case.
for the word case, because this case is just show about just one kind of case, but he used it because his job is a lawyer. So it sounds like good case. However, it's just kind of just one case.
And I also like the part that at the end he summarized the 3 main points, like saying that the 20th century reward works only on narrow band of circumstances, and he just summarized the 3 points at the last part. So I could, like, after listening this, I could actually speak out what he said in his speech. So I think that was good.
And what he did was that whenever he talked about certain research, he's like, no, not only that. That doesn't only happen in America. It happens in like Asia, like India, and it also happens in England as well. So he ran around all over the countries to prove that this is a universal fact. Not that doesn't merely apply to a certain society.
Also, I liked his usage of tone of his voice. He when he wanted to emphasize something, he said it loud and clear, and sometimes he said it again, like twice, or sometimes in a different phrase 3 times. And when he wanted something like he wanted to say something like really not important, he really quieted down and his voice was little down.
What are some ways that we can apply what we we learn from this lecture to our real life? For me, I've always considered financial incentives to be the best one, because I always studied for money, because my mom and father would reward me if I get a good grade. But then I don't think that was a good method, because after I realized that I got a good grade, I don't bother like reviewing it again. I was like, what's the point of remembering it if the exam is done and I got my money? So the actual information that I retrieved was really small. So I thought the intrinsic motivation to study and really know about the subject would have made me a more like practical learner.
Well, I couldn't actually put this to my real life, but I thought about I couldn't totally agree with his opinion, because the intrinsic motivation, I think it only works when people have enough money and food and other necessary supplies that they can live in. Like, for example, if you're in poverty and you're very poor and you don't have any money and you have a lot of family to feed, I don't think that I think that in that case the financial motivation works better than intrinsic motivation. So I think that this what he's trying to say is logical, and I agree with him, but I think this only works in a limited matter.
However, I don't think about it, because in my opinion, he told that this is for the white collar people, not just as you said, some people with the poverty or some poor people, poor condition, they do just blue collar works, or they do not interested in some kind of the job using intelligence or creativity. They do the works in with their hands and just mechanical things. And it clearly told that in mechanical skills, the reward can enhance the performances. So I think his logic is pretty good exactly in the real world, because he pointed out that the mechanical point and some intelligence or using creativity work is different.
What I thought through the speech was I want to apply his method or policies to my kids when I become a father, and I wouldn't really use as Kyun said, like money, since I learned that it's really not effective. So I wouldn't use money or like food or toys. I wouldn't use that, and I would think of a different way, and that's what I thought.
Yep. That's
I
about it.
think,
Oh.
I think the limitation, one of the limitation is that he told about the intrinsic motivator. However, he didn't told about how we make some intrinsic motivator. He especially told about the autonomy in here and the self-direction is better. However, a lot, even especially in Korea, a lot of students don't have how to manage or how to direct their life. In that case, I think he should have he had to point out that how to make intrinsic motivator or autonomy mastery purpose in their life.
So overall, I thought it was a really good lecture.
Me too.
Me too.
Me too.
And I love
I
the
like
quote.
this better than the last one.
Yeah. I love the lazy. I love the sentence lazy and dangerous things
Oh.
can change the world.
Uh-huh.
Can change the world. I love that kind of things because I'm lazy. Okay, then summarize and talk about the whole judgment about this lecture.
Wow.
For me, it's like first time for me to actually listen to actual cases that the intrinsic motivator works better than financial motivator. So I actually learned a lot from this lecture, like compared to other lectures I've heard before. So I actually like this, and well, as Gazam said, I like the part that he said this policy, this way of thinking can actually strengthen businesses and solve problems and can change the world. I like this.
How about you?
For me, it was like I mentioned, it was a really good lecture because of his eloquence and ability to use his authority as a lawyer to be persuasive. But as Minjul and me previously said, there's some parts that I'm kind of doubtful about. But still, we haven't experimented with this in Korea yet, so I think this is a reasonable thing to try out.
Yeah. In my case, now actually these days I'm very encountered with some hard reality in my life, and especially in the economy things or some financial things. However, from the thank for this lecture, I can change my mind. Even I faced with some financial reality or some hardness, I should think about my own motivation for my research or my study.
Yeah. Well, overall, I think this was really an interesting speech, and compared to others, which was really repeating something that I knew, it was really something that was new for me, and really something I can actually learn from. So I really wanted to apply what he said to my life when I become a father. And again, I like his humor.
Yeah.
I really
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.